I do not ask for your respect, I demand it.
He created a character named Evel Knievel and then lived the part.
He was the greatest reality show before reality shows existed.
Are you ever afraid?
I'm Evel Knievel, honey. I'm not supposed to be afraid.
It's definitely come a long way from daredevils to professionals.
The thing that's really inspiring to all of us is the showmanship side of it.
That's such a large part of our culture now. It's a crazy story. It's just fast, faster, and disaster.
Hello, welcome to What the Flick. We are all here to talk about the Evel Knievel documentary. It's called Being Evil. Alonzo, Christy, Matt, and Ben, the angelic Ben Mankiewicz, will describe to you Being Evil.
Yeah, so this is a documentary from a guy named Daniel Jung, Junge. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Produced by Johnny Knoxville, among others, who's in the movie, opens the movie. And this is really a story of a guy who people certainly of my generation and a little bit younger and certainly older probably think they know a lot about. I know I thought I knew a fair amount about Evel Knievel, but it turns out I didn't. And if you're following the presidential race this year, you can see precisely who Donald Trump admired when he was a kid. It was Evel Knievel.
That's so funny. Has he talked about his love of Evel Knievel on his campaign?
I wrote the note so many times, like, wow, this guy, I mean, Evel Knievel sounds like Donald Trump. I mean, there's the showmanship and the sort of the pointless, you think it's pointless braggadocio until it leads to millions. And you realize, well, I guess it wasn't pointless. I mean, it's
and the
crazy.
Bullying, too.
Right, and the bullying. Like this, there's so many similarities.
And if Trump isn't directly getting from Evel Knievel, it's definitely, they both encompass this American brand of ballyhoo.
Yeah, that's right.
The alternate title for this could be, Jesus, the balls on that guy.
And you can't help but simultaneously admire him for some of it. And then you vilify him for much of it, as he, like many people who find that much fame and that much wealth, he couldn't handle it at all. And whether it was that was a wonderful thing in there that I didn't know about, because he's did all his stunts, most of his stunts on a motorcycle, 99% of them. He gets into a fight with the Hells Angels.
I'd never seen that.
Yeah, I had no idea about that.
Yeah, in the 70s, at the height of the Hells Angels power,
in San Francisco, at the Cow Palace.
He's talking shit about them, and then goes and does a show in the Cow Palace and gets attacked by the Hells Angels.
And then starts carrying a weapon around because he's convinced that the Hells Angels are coming for him, which may have been true. I don't know, but either way, he became sort of dark and paranoid, and all the things that you could see developing. That bullying that maybe he tamped down a little bit is just sort of, with that much power, unleashes, and he starts being clearly significantly cruel to people who didn't warrant it in any way.
Like his wife, for example.
Like Ben and I are the same age, and I totally remember the big deal that Evel Knievel was in the 70s, and I coveted, Matt had it apparently. I did not have the wind-up motorcycle toy.
The stunt cycle,
still have
I don't
it?
still have
Oh,
it.
man.
No, let's go for some serious
so there was a lot that I didn't know about. I mean, and this movie, I have to say, at first I kind of thought, oh, this really is put together like your basic sort of cable biography, with the talking heads and the footage and there's a lot of Johnny Knoxville, which is kind of weird because he's narrating it as though he was there when he wasn't. But then by the time they hit the Snake River Canyon incident, it really hits its stride. Like the storytelling really kicks in, and I think the movie is best when it's focusing on specific incidents than it is in sort of kind of putting together all the connective tissue of this guy's life. But it adds up to a really engaging movie.
One of the most powerful things right at the beginning was about sort of seeking his father's love and not getting it, raised by his grandparents. His father wasn't around. They say he badly wanted to be with his dad. And there's a scene where his cousin accidentally hurts him and is panicked that he might have killed him. He doesn't, obviously, and then Evil Robbie, right, is his real name, Bob gets up and then rams his head into a door and says, nobody's going to hurt me, nobody can hurt me ever. And when you hear a kid who's been abandoned by his father say that, you get full psychology.
Sure, right.
Screaming psychology there, and I thought, oh man, that's going to be interesting to talk about later. And then we don't get that.
They don't. And then you see that as a father himself, he's totally AWOL.
That's right.
Right.
Although his kids still seem to, there's
Yeah,
a
they're
significant degree of
affectionate.
affection. that
And
they
Robbie
maintain.
followed in his footsteps
Yeah.
and was better than him in some ways, but didn't have the showmanship or the flashiness to be as
Right.
famous.
I mean, you could look at this story and there's almost, tick off some of the cliches. Like, this is a guy who clearly starts to buy his own bullshit, right?
Totally,
And,
yeah.
there's the movie that gets made about him, written by John Milius, and then he starts using lines from the movie
That's right.
in his life. And this doc shows that and shows this great progression. And, we talk about wanting to see like the warts and all documentary. That's a little bit of what you get here. Like,
Yeah,
this
It
movie
is.
Oh yeah,
doesn't
they don't
pull a
let him
lot
off
of
the hook
punches.
for
Yeah,
a
they don't
lot
let him off
Right.
the hook, but it just feels incredibly honest. And at the end, because usually when you get an honest depiction of a person, who did recognize his own flaws late in life, you get you don't come out of this thinking Evel Knievel was just a prick.
No.
Right.
By the way, you mentioned Milius and George Hamilton's in the movie. He played Evel Knievel in the movie, and
This is the one place in the world where George Hamilton and the Jackass guys like meet on a map.
This is their Venn diagram.
right. You knew it would happen at some point. But George Hamilton's description of reading the script
Yeah, it's a
with
good
John
scene.
Milius is
my
really
God.
a truly
So
great,
good.
great Hollywood story.
I kind of wish they showed a little bit more of Viva Knievel, the
Oh my
movie where he
God.
plays
I would
himself.
like to see a little
'Cause,
more.
Oh my God, that movie is bananas.
Have you seen this?
Oh yeah,
It's terrible? It looks terrible.
It's terrible in a great way. You
But
should totally see it.
there's one moment in there that is that I think sort of accurately describes everything about him. When he's jumping the Snake River Canyon, and I remember that so vividly. The country talking about it, my dad talking about it. So they had it's a mile over the Snake River Canyon. No one's jumping a bike, so it's a rocket. Which I'd forgotten. To me, it was a bike again.
In your mind.
No, because I
Right.
remember there was a
technically a
toy
bike.
rocket too.
God.
Remember?
It was technically, it was a rocket cycle.
Right, a rocket.
So it was
itself.
a rocket around the motorcycle?
Kind of.
Yeah.
With a parachute coming out the back?
So,
Yes.
but they had to do a test, and it's in the movie. But the test is the first test with cameras there is a deliberate failure,
Right.
so that they would tell the audience, "Oh man, you could die." Like
It's much more dangerous.
That's his showmanship,
Yeah.
and it's perfect because that makes people
Right.
think, "Oh God, he might die." It's brilliant to deliberately sabotage your own test. The flip side is they never did any tests. Like this is a
Right.
guy who, now for these guys, if somebody does a test like this, they're like, well, you need a speed of 85 miles an hour at this trajectory, but if the winds
Right.
are at 8 miles an hour, you're going to need to go 88. He just went,
It's like,
We'll go that
I give it a
way.
shot. I give it a shot.
better
Let's
be
go.
going right. The guy who, like, one of his coworkers, one of his assistants, who would kind of like be on the sidelines and kind of doing like the
Right.
speed up,
Speed up.
slow down, like,
Slow.
and this guy says like, yeah, I guess I was just guessing.
I was just gonna, this is the other guy who, when earlier he jumped over panthers and snakes. He had that same
story's
guy
awesome.
dressed in a
That
lab
story-
coat,
right.
and they'd be like, "Yeah, he's a veterinarian."
Right, and then there's the story about well, I don't want to spoil it,
Yeah.
but there's some hilarious stories in this. And one of the things that this movie does really well, I was kind of wondering, you wonder a little bit why Knoxville's in there. But then you get towards the end of it, Knoxville talks about how influential Knievel was for what he was doing. And then you get guys like
Tony Hawk.
and
Yeah.
Travis
Yeah, he
Pastrana.
invented extreme sports, basically.
Right, really.
right.
And
On the
one
line
of them
roller
says, like, I
sports.
think Pastrana says, we do this stuff all the time. Like, we go riding motorcycles and do this stuff, but those are high power light bikes and
Invented for this.
invented for this. Whereas
Knievel
was doing it with
Knievel's
just
kind of just
stuff,
doing it with
yeah.
these big heavy Harleys and Hondas and just going for it. And it's
And he even acknowledges that like the reason that he draws a crowd is the same reason that people will go to NASCAR or that Spider-Man
Right.
musical is on the off chance that something horrible
He
is going to
says it
happen.
incredibly well. I wrote it down. It's one of the notes. Nobody wants to see me die, but they don't want to miss
They
it
don't
if I
wanna
do.
miss
I do,
Yeah.
yes,
That's a great,
totally.
great.
And it's also worth noting that the late Frank Gifford is one of
There's
the
a lot
people
of him
interviewed
in
the
this,
film
And then
because he
what
was a-
detracts from it, by the mention, Frank Gifford helps. As always, I mean, when as a society do we recognize, I get it, he's famous. Geraldo Rivera undermines the credibility of anything you do.
But Rivera was there firsthand, and the thing is that the Snake River Canyon was the Al Capone's safe of its day.
The vault.
Yeah.
I will make that case.
Yeah.
For
Well,
Waldo
and they
being
get,
in this.
they talked to Don Wilson, who's one of the producers of Wild World of Sports, which is really cool because
He's got his
I-
Wide World of Sports jacket on.
It's so he still has it. It looks nice. But the whole time they're talking about the Snake River Canyon jump, all I could think about was that Simpsons episode where Bart's trying to jump Springfield Gorge.
Yeah.
And that just shows that between that and all the Tony Hawk stuff and the Johnny Knoxville
Yeah, I mean,
stuff,
Johnny
how
Knoxville even
decades-
wears
right,
the Evil Knievel
right,
helmet
right.
with the stars and stripes and
Yeah,
stuff.
but like decades later, how he is still so
is a great movie.
relevant.
Six
fun,
of the
it's
top
entertaining.
10 highest rated Wide World of Sports episodes all
I think
time.
6 or 7.
Maybe 7, yeah, but
Yeah.
a significant number, inclling the most highest rated, were Evil Knievel.
I am much younger than the two of you, so I don't remember much about this at all. Like, I was 2, but still,
What's
it's
the definition of much?
much. I'm much younger than you. I was 2 years old when all this happened, but like, it's still, it's vibrant and it's fun, it's entertaining, and you don't have to have been alive.
And
then.
it's a nice slice of the 70s for
That's
sure.
right. also,
so
yeah.
much hair, you guys. So much chest
Can you
hair.
believe at the Snake River Canyon the guy was 35?
Wow.
35?
Wow.
Didn't he? I was positive that when I heard them at one point say, when he had some troubles later, that he was 39, I was like, no, they said 49. Like, I just assumed that I had misheard it, but that guy aged.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that woman on Show Me a Hero where you find out she's 47. You're like, wait, what?
You totally, yeah. That was
Right.
alarming.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
what are
the
our
years,
numbers?
it's the mileage.
Yeah.
What are
I
numbers?
gave it a 7. Like you said, it starts a little draggy, but then it really finds its stride and it has some great stuff.
I'm saying 7.5 just because to me it is, as you said, a lot of like talking head footage. For somebody who was larger than life and very flashy, it's not the most artful documentary, but it's fun.
I like this a lot. I give it a 9.
Yeah, I gave it a 9 too. Fuck art.
Fuck art. That's what Evel Knievel would say. So
100% on the tomato meter.
yeah, we say 8.1.
Yeah, 100% on the tomato meter.
Yeah, it's really good.
Where is it available? Where can we see it? Is it coming out?
It's on demand this weekend and playing in LA and New York.
Find it. Bye.